Good day to ye wander travelers. Today I am buzzing. Again, full of beans, mate, making a factory here. It's my birthday weekend, so obviously we started drinking uh, quite early. But I'm actually super psyched about this. You got the wizard Nagy inquiring to my man, the School of Fish, hence uh, the cap dictating knowledge and power. We're going to be talking about AI and the crazy world this is creating. How are you feeling about that, Fish?
I'm excited, and I'm excited to see your opinions on where it goes, especially since you have stake in the game and that you're already reproducing your generations after you. So,
Yeah, this is going to get like real weird, but I think it's cool because we're going to have an episode about me inquiring and trying to find more knowledge because I'm kind of too lazy to get all these things. So I'm going to the School of Fish himself to figure this out. So you ready to hit it?
all right,
Ooh,
shout out
that's
to DJ Fish Sticks for putting that together for us.
amazing. Love it. It's only gonna get better from here. So yeah, man, it's a crazy kind of thing going on that is only going to get bigger and bigger. And there's tons of things and people talking about it, but I'm coming to you because I don't want to do my own research. I want to hear it kind of from the fish's mouth, if you will.
That's what I'm here for, buddy. And for all the people at home, do not take anything we are about to say silly or seriously. If you are listening to the audio podcast, Nagy is wearing a matching hat and shirt that are tank tops, and the hat is a sorcerer's hat with moons
The
and
sorcerer's
stars over it.
apprentice, you gotta give credit to where it's due.
And I'm wearing the hat of maybe a king from
101 Dalmatians.
East Anglia.
No,
I don't
101
know.
Dalmatians
Like,
far. Gafar's 101 Dalmatians. I love it. So
yeah, and I've
it's
got a gem bigger than my head on the top of it. So
yeah, you're
do not
the
take
you're
anything you're
the
about to
main
listen to.
on like a deep quest, and they're gonna be like, "Go out into this world and come forth with things, and I'll give you fortune." Like
Or
serious
I'm
D and
that
D quest.
character with like too big of a hat that you speed through my quest text and it's like
And the gem was hidden in your head the whole time. Yeah, that's classic for it.
you had to
All
get a
right, ready?
freedom pouch there, bud.
Yeah, ready? Uh, Yeah, but this quest is going to be about knowledge and something I've been very curious about. And like I said, I'm just kind of too lazy to do it on my own. So to be able to talk to you about this, I am just over the moon because AI is something that is getting crazy. Like you look at it on Instagram, Facebook, Google, it's like, hey, try the AI search, try this, try that. I'm like, nope, I just want a recipe on the best way to, marinate bratwurst. And it's like, oh, the AI's got the image. Like, no, give me the rest. Like, it's getting nuts.
I
So,
remember when you initially brought this topic up to me about 2 or 3 days ago. And I was like, Bud, I bet you don't even know that our YouTube descriptions are all AI generated that I put together. You
yeah.
were like, I'm sorry, what?
So I first discovered really playing with it with Leonardo AI, a very cool image creator.
Okay.
And it was like the logos I have and that we had kind of created of I was like put these letters on it like super like almost like a Google search of can I just find this,
Mhm.
and then you had to describe more to me of like no, you can tell a story and it will generate that as an image.
Yep.
And going deeper, you could like upload the entire story of Beauty and the Beast, and it will put images and things together. And now it's getting more and more just bonkers of how it's developing, and just the repercussions are only going to get exponential from here.
Yeah, well, for example, what we started with was one, we made all of our initial images are all AI generated. I wish Nagy or I were quite that artistic, but we're not. So we use AI to generate it all. And one of the things that Nagy and I started a project with, I was like, dude, let's write a children's book and just use AI to generate all of the images for it. And it's about these two characters named Orc and Goblin that Nagy and I were able to start putting together. And I would put into there, because the way AI works is it uses keywords to describe the image. I remember when you first started, you were like, the ship, draw me a blue ship. And
Right.
in your head, you knew exactly what you wanted. You wanted a blue ship on the background of a spaceship coasting through time with a black hole in the deep, but you didn't know how to quite put that into words. So if you can,
Well, Google search style, yeah.
yeah, so if you can almost describe and keyword it on what to do, and then as you get into it, Leonardo AI has a bunch of different tools and editors to fill in the blanks. So like I can clip an area and say, put water, and it knows what water is, and it already fills in that area and kind of fills the gap based on the colors. So it's a very, very powerful search engine at this moment, but more powerful than the search engine. It's basically a large database. And the way it develops is it finds more efficient ways of doing things. So I've been playing on Leonardo AI for, I'd say, about a year now. And if you go back to the start of it, the images were a lot more crude in what you were trying to get. It's gotten better now because it has so many more searches of people saying, I want space. So it has a general idea of what person is asking for when they say space or galaxy.
They don't want just like a black image. They're like, no, we want stars and constellations and things. And that's what's getting scary, is that it's learning all these things. It's learning like, oh, when they say space, they don't just mean the void. They mean, oh, stars and galaxies and colors and nebulas and all this kind of stuff. And it's putting it all in there. And it's getting bonkers of, I don't know your opinion on taking away from writers, because it's like, well, you still have to describe a vivid human imagination and then it will generate the image. Like, could you describe Van Gogh's Starry Night? And it could do it with enough critique and like small things. Or if you're going to write out a crazy prose and it just like just snaps it out.
Yeah, so I think here's one thing that I think will happen with the creative realms, because one thing, shout out to country music, but AI has absolutely destroyed country music songs. They are replicating country music songs left and right. They are becoming bangers. And you can find several instances of people trolling the whole country music community. And within 3 days, this song gets 1 million listens. And it was all AI generated.
Oh, shout out to Letterkenny. Amazing show on Hulu. If you guys want to throw some sponsors, go ahead. But they literally do that. They're like people like smoking cigarettes, hauling trailers, big trucks, and women, and they make a song with just those buzzwords. And like you said, it just hits the top charts. Like, it's so I could see where that takes away from it creatively for certain aspects. But I mean, a banger's a banger. Someone still had to kind of do something for it.
But there's been a lot of AI that's been generating artists. And what I think one of the big things that it's going to do is, what AI is really good with is commonalities. Like, it is... Here's what I think is going to... All right, here we go. So, what AI is really good with is... what AI is really good with is commonalities. So, say Nagy searches the color blue, but the color green actually comes up, right? He goes, no, that's not blue. That's... And then another color comes up and he goes, correct, that's blue. Well, AI then comes up to me and shows me a different color. Say it shows me brown. And then it goes, well, I go, no, that's not brown. And then it shows me blue and I go, that's correct. So now the third person, when they ask for blue, will get blue. And so it learns in that aspect through a lot of trial and error, right? And the reason it was so slow at first is because it was searching through everything. It was so crude, it couldn't figure anything out.
Right.
Um, and so what I think it's going to do is, since it has such a good foundational understanding and good basic search engines, is I think it's going to force us to get drastically more creative and drastically more understanding of things. And the other thing that I think that AI won't be able to do like humans can is metaphors. I think that's the only thing that's the part will scare me once it's able to understand like a metaphor between different languages in a truly understand it, not just in the writing aspect of it. Right? It could
Like
tell me the definition of a metaphor.
idioms are not multilingual. There's very few that cross over even languages. So now you're trying to get it to a computer, and it's not gonna be able to do it. Like if you say like show me an image of somebody hungry as a horse, it's gonna show you like a giant creature that could eat a horse, not somebody who's just like really hungry kind of thing. So it's yeah, like it will develop to a point where it's scary to kind of think about that it's these servers must be just massive farms of this stuff to get them to store this much research.
Oh, it costs a ridiculous amount of power to run. Do you remember that old show Smart Guy, right?
Go on.
You do remember it?
Let's just go on.
Okay. So in Smart Guy, it was basically like this little 12-year-old kid that was smarter than everybody else and went on to prove it in a bunch of different ways. And one of the ways that he did it was he played AI in chess. Ultimately ended up beating it. The show was in like 97. But AI has come so far since then. I'm trying to pull up the number right now. But it has come so far since then that they created the game. They created an AI called OpenAI. I've got to take this fucking thing off. I'm rumbling just because I can't see what the hell I'm doing. All right. So they created an AI called OpenAI. The OpenAI was in the game called Dota 2. Dota 2 is an incredibly complex game that I can't even put into words how complex this is. But it is, I'd say, infinitely X more complex than chess. Only because it is the same concepts and principles of chess, but different dynamics in the way that it can be played out in this 3D multi-world. OpenAI started learning how to play Dota, and within, I think it was 4 or 5 months, started playing pros and then started beating them. And over a 4-year period, had a 96.98 win percentage against them. So over 4 years, it learned the most efficient way to play Dota and beat us so many times that it accounted for all its losses. Let that sink in for a minute. In 4 years, that's how much smarter. Now, granted, this thing was programmed to do that all day long. So it did it 24 hours a day. So it got in drastically more games than you or I could ever even put together, right? So
Just
there's a few other aspects to keep inside of it.
What Dota is up to like 5v5 multiplayer. You're picking different classes, and sort of like chess pieces, all these different classes have different powers, and you're going against each other on a battlefield of a role-playing game doing this stuff. But like constant action, constant, you build a team, you want to have somebody who does a lot of damage, someone who heals, someone who does range attacks, someone who does close combat, all these different aspects put together. And then this computer system learned it and started beating all humans at it.
With a 96% win rating.
It's pretty good. Tell you what, it's pretty good.
Yeah. So imagine being one of the two guys that's like, I beat the robot. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, that's the scary thing, is that humans have our own cycle. You need to eat, you need to go to the bathroom, you need to sleep. A computer can run thousands of simulations, especially the more advances, in fractions of the time. So if you're going to play a game of chess, let's say most games take, I mean, I don't even want to look up the facts of, let's say the super professionals play for, 2 hours. A computer simulation can run that 2 hours in seconds, and they will do it a million times and find those efficiencies and find all those simulations. Like I said, I couldn't even beat the
Well,
MacBook. Yes.
it'll run it in seconds as it learns to play it, because the whole thing is AI has to learn how to play it. So like if you look at the more complexity of an item is, right? Like teaching AI to write out a sentence is not that hard. But teaching an AI to take a 3D character and understand our physics and walk takes drastically longer, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So it depends on the functionality you're asking it to do as well. So that's the other thing that's so impressive about it learning Dota is how complex of a game it is.
Cool. I hope a bunch of people hop on that, come back to us with, yeah, I was either really good at it or really bad at it kind of thing.
With Dota, oh man,
Yeah.
I could never get into Dota. It wasn't my thing, but I did shoutcast a couple League of Legends tournaments in college. I was the announcer and shoutcasted on those things. It was so fun.
Bonkers. Indeed.
Yeah, I was the shoutcaster, and the color commentator that knew the game way better than me just explained everything. I just made everything that was happening on screen sound super duper awesome. And whoever made a big play, you sound like a genius.
Like a town yeller, or is that like shoutcasting mean like you're casting spells? I have no idea what that is.
So, when you watch any sport, there's a play-by-play commentator slash shoutcaster and a color commentator. The play-by-play and shoutcaster is what's telling you what's happening. So, for example, a lot of us watch football. I'm going to use football for an example. He's the guy that goes, okay, they snap the ball to Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson looks over his shoulder. He finds Deion Sanders to the inside, passes him the ball. Deion catches it for 10 yards. He starts taking off. He runs it in, and touchdown. That is the shoutcaster. The color commentator is the guy that goes, all right, this play was absolutely incredible because the way they broke down the defense in the back end, they set up this way and they knew it was this kind of read. The person that really understands it, an analytical commentator, yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to American football, and apologies for saying football to all of our foreign friends.
Oh, that's true. I should have used a more generic. But a lot of people know Dota. That's fine.
Hand egg.
That's
Yeah.
fine. That's fine. But yeah, so I think AI is going to level out the foundation a lot more and open up the world for creativity, because I think a lot of our mundane jobs on computers are going to become automated.
Yeah. And I think a lot of jobs and people and things like that are going to be lost, but it's going to create different avenues. Just like when they took people off the assembly line and put in robots, it's like, well, what are we going to do now? Like, well, you're going to it's going to just change avenues.
Whenever
But
we have free time, generally it creates what some would call a renaissance. And that's when we have free time, world's at peace, creativity happens, and that's when we really start to move the world forward for all you people at home.
yeah, which was a bummer because COVID was supposed to spark another one. And
How was COVID supposed to spark a renaissance?
because everybody had free time, but everybody just binged on stream shows instead of creativity. I mean, everybody got into sourdough. That was
That's
a
true.
big
I
one.
played a lot of Call of Duty, man. Like,
Just kind of instead of creating new things, we're like, oh, now we just finally have time to do the stuff we wanted to do with our free time anyway. But back to AI. The first point I was gonna bring up was just different algorithms, and it's scary or not, like phones listening in, and it's like, do you think that if you mention a certain thing around your phone enough, and then you click on Amazon or Walmart or eBay, like it's gonna be like, it's like I need a new golf club. I need a new golf club. I need a new golf club. And then it's like, hey, here's golf courses near you, and you're like, I didn't search a single thing. This
A,
is just hearing me.
1.5 billion. That happens to me every day.
Yeah, I feel bad because this brings up a great point, and I feel bad for people getting ready to propose when someone starts looking up a ring a bunch in different types and different jewelers and all stuff, and then it brings it up, and the other person kind of knows. But I will bring in a relationship point on this matter of fact of when I was getting ready to propose to Jera, like she knew, like it was like, all right, we've been together for X amount of years, it's coming. And I brought up like an image search of rings. There was a really cool image, and it was all the Disney princesses that designed rings. And it was like, this is Jasmine's ring, and this is Belle's
Oh, that's
ring, and this
cool.
is Aurora's ring. And I said, okay, there's like 9 rings here. I like 3, pick 3 you like. And she picked the 3. I said, pick 3 you like and 3 you don't like. And she picked the 3 I didn't like. And I picked the 3 she didn't like. And I was like, cool, you know what? Go pick your own ring. And like we went into a jeweler, she picked it out, designed it all thing. I paid for it, and then it was like the surprise is kind of ruined, but it's also like, dude, if you're together that long, like a proposal's coming, and then the magic was when was I going to propose? So my life point, life pro tip is do that. Like if someone knows you're going to be together and they're like, when are you going to propose? When are you going to propose? Like pick the ring, I'll get it and I'll propose to you when I want. That to me was the biggest thing so that I didn't like give her a ring and she goes, "Oh, I hate this thing that I'm going to wear for the rest of my life now."
Interesting. I don't know. I think some of the girls like the surprise though. Like I think that's part of the game to some women.
But I mean, again, I was like, "You're going to be wearing this on your finger. Like this is my 3rd ring." I keep changing the ones because I have to wear it, and Jared doesn't really care what I wear. When it comes to the diamond, they're like, when they want a specific thing, like if it's not just like a pure diamond, and you're like, I got you a ruby or I got this, it's like, oh well, I wanted a diamond. You're like, oh well, I proposed to you with a ruby because
That's
I thought that
true.
was
So to your point,
like,
why can't you just like pull out and propose with a ring pop
I mean,
and be like, "Hey,
I
I know it's not in there, but I want you to pick out the one you want. I don't want to
I
like play
had
this
I
game
had a
of
proposal. I had a proposal set on ships, but I was not about to tote around an engagement ring through customs and all kinds of things and all
good
kinds of
call, good
crap.
call."
I was like, I'm gonna have the ring back home and propose to you with a ring pop. My excuse would be, you're getting this, and then when we're not traveling and on the flow rider and you taking it on and off constantly for work, then you get your ring. So I
Okay.
approve both methods.
And the other thing is, you probably got a sweet discount somewhere in the Caribbean with it. Or where'd you get?
No, got it. Well, yeah, Family Jeweler, Hurdles Jewelry in Boulder, Colorado. If you want to check it out, they hooked it up.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's my thing on that. But back to AI, it was like the learning you're searching and doing what it's doing of figuring you out of like, hey, my favorite is when you buy something like a mop, and then every month it's like, hey, check out these new mops. You're like, nope, I'm good, AI. Like, still got my old mop. Not collecting mops. Just good with what I got. All right with it. It's like, no, no, no. But look at this new upgraded mop with more mopping capabilities. And you're like, all
I
right, easy, buddy.
I think that algorithm is different than AI though. I don't think they're the same. I don't think that
No,
algorithm is
this
powered by
yeah.
AI.
This is going back to this is strictly algorithms, but
Okay.
how long until they're putting AI in these algorithms to be like, all right, if someone needs a mop, then they're going to be cleaning, get all these other stuff, like all like the development of implementing it into this daily life of all
Um
these different.
I don't know. You definitely use it for like you see it in marketing for sure. Like
Yeah,
there's I would say so many obviously like if you have your favorite podcast person that's in the top 10 that you listen to, they have been voice recorded over whatever favorite item that's coming out now. So if you're a big Call Her Daddy fan, there's audio recordings of Alex talking about this new facial stuff that's coming out. That's all AI generated and not her in any way, shape, or form. Because there's so many hours of time recordings out there of these people. I mean, we're gonna get there at one point. We're gonna be AI generated. Let's be honest.
Well, I
But
mean, like, yeah, they can get
it's
those.
crazy to think of that.
We can get those of all those things, and that actually brings up a point of creativity and licensing of something that really bums me out. Actually, of how can you give credit to artists or people or these things when it's something you want? So the two best examples I have is in the movie Trolls. Anna Kendrick sings to Justin Timberlake, and she starts singing "The Sound of Silence." And they have all the monsters and things coming in, and you're like, dude, this song, like this remix, this rendition, whatever you want to call it, is a banger. But they only do like a 12, 15-second clip of Sound of Silence, and then Branch cuts it off, and it's like, dude, I want that whole song. And the second one is in Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, where he's playing "Roll Out the Barrels." It's Papa Bear, and he's singing and he's playing the piano, and it's another great rendition. And I tried to find it, and the original one is this dude like yodeling, singing like a really slow ballad of like "Roll Out," and the bear's like doing this piano jam. I was like, I want that whole song. So if someone made it on AI, it's like, well, you took that actor or that actress's voice and you made an entire song out of it. And then, if I made it for myself and just kept it awesome, but if someone made it and then released it, and then Anna Kendrick or the English actor, I can't remember his name, like, are like, hey man, that's my voice, and I never sang that whole thing. I only did the clip. Like, where's my pay from that? Like, where's my cut kind of thing? Like, that's where it is kind of theft of these people. You're like, well, I just use a computer and then your audio and voice from everything else that's been recorded throughout your entire filmography of stuff to make it.
Encourage more live performances. It's going to take people off of computers. I think it's going to rot our brains way faster because you can't like, how do you filter it? Right?
Yeah. What do you mean?
So how do you filter the real from the fake at this point? That whole
Yeah.
Did you
Scared me.
follow the beef with the Drake and the Kendrick Lamar?
Not in 1 second of my life.
Apparently there's a moment where the Kendrick Lamar or the Drake, one of them AI'd like Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre, and it sounded just like him. It was identical. So I think there's almost no way in the future that you're going to be able to filter it. So it's all just going to be music at that point, right? Like you're just going to.
That's what's scary, is finding the filter, because that brings up another point of just misinformation. You people have and have created files of, Biden, Trump, anyone, Kendrick, Drake, people saying all these things, people saying horrible things, people saying self-degrading things. Like, all these things are fake. And it's like, are we going to have a system in place to be able to be like, I just saw a picture of Biden riding a Tyrannosaurus. Like, did they finally clone one, or is this fake now? I mean, woolly mammoth would be more realistic because they're dude. I cannot wait till they clone the woolly mammoth. I'm ready for Jurassic Park in the real world. Like, let's take it on. We've seen the movies. We can know what to avoid. Bring them back. But back to the point of, like, at a certain point, like, let's just say
Okay.
a
Now,
political figure.
how far
like,
do you think you would make it in Jurassic Park? And if it was the real world, how far do you think you would make it? How long would you make it?
which island? Fields of Sorna, Nubar? Am I in Jurassic World? Like, give me some context here. Like,
Pick one.
pretty far.
Well,
I
we're
mean,
far advanced. So Jurassic World. Jurassic World's the most irrelevant one.
okay. Well, all right, we'll get into that later. But, like, the
So
dude that cuts the scene, he's carrying the margaritas when all the pterodactyls and the hybrids. I'd be that guy, but I'd still live. Like, I still think I could fight most of those
you'd
things.
be Jimmy Buffett.
I mean, no. If it was a Margaritaville and they were like, it's Jurassic
No,
World, I'd
that
probably be
guy
like,
is Jimmy Buffett, dude. That's his
was that,
cameo.
Oh my god, that's phenomenal.
You didn't know that?
No, that's amazing. But no, I mean, like, you bunker down with my survival skills, I'd still take it. And yeah, no, I think I'd be pretty good in most situations. Would I go hunting velociraptors with the clever girl? Probably not. Would I run from a T Rex with a flare? Probably not. But would I know how to camp out around like Ankylosaurus? Yeah.
What type of dinosaurs would you hunt then? Or would you become a vegetarian?
I mean,
You'd have to eat
hunting.
something. What are you eating?
I mean, if it's on the island, there's still the food. Like you go into the buffet, you're still gonna like knock some of that out. But if I had to hunt one,
I was about
I
to say that
mean,
food's only gonna last you for a week. The
an
dinosaurs went
iguana.
in there and ate all of it after they ate all the people.
Yeah, but I mean, you get an iguanodon, like you go scavenger style, like you let the T Rex take it down, you go in for scraps, like. But also, it's modern times, so I'm also just waiting for the Coast Guard to come in and murk everything and just be like, "All right, pick me up, please."
Okay.
Oh, that's a whole. We can get into Jurassic World and Jurassic Park survival an entirely another day.
All right. Well, what else you
But
got on your mind then?
so this was the one I was most excited about
Okay.
because the implementation of AI to me greatly correlates to the use of virtual reality. And if anyone's ever read or seen Ready Player One, things like that, if you could put on a VR headset, haptic suit, running platform, chair, whatever you could name, and go into another world, to me, that is the idea of a voluntary matrix where, you know, countless people say that, like, we're all in a simulation already. You have the crazy fact that, and a bunch of people have the fact of like upper 90s percentage that we're already in a simulation. And I go, me driving to work and sitting in traffic as part of a simulation, like I want to know what this is even powering. If I'm just brains powering some construct for a battery, power to the robots. But I believe that people are going to voluntarily put themselves in a matrix like simulation. And to me, that is beyond scary and bonkers.
But then you're just like almost inceptioning yourself, and then if you believe in the simulation theory, you're just going another layer deep, ultimately
Right.
creating a simulation for yourself.
But what if you could do that? If we're in this age of renaissance, as you like to say, and we're all creativity and you can just be like, yeah, my food, my healthcare, everything's provided for me. I spend 10 hours a day in my haptic suit going into a world where I'm a movie star, I'm a sports star, I'm living on a beach, I'm, you know, this extreme sports athlete, whatever it is, but you're just sitting in a chair doing your own thing like surrogate style. Like, I think it's a self-elected matrix, and especially if we're headed towards a singularity where you can download your consciousness, it's like, all right, hey, we'll dispose of your biological body, and you can just be a brain in a giant lab farm and go live whatever life you want, and you could live
Oh,
for eons.
I think people would totally submit themselves to it. I would
Oh,
never
fine for
submit to it.
it. Yeah,
That doesn't seem like something that's on my radar to do. But there would definitely be people that would do it. 100%. Same thing.
it's
Like
that's so
it's a similar
scary.
concept to what was that downsizing? What was the Matt Damon movie when they were offering people to get small and their money goes so much further? So they basically
Right,
become millionaires and now become just you're living with the Joneses at that point.
right. Yeah, like it's if someone could say like, hey, we're going to download you and you're going to be in your simulation for 4 years.
Hmm.
We're just going to even maybe like harvest your organs. We're going to sell off everything to people that want to live in the real world. But you are going to live, hundreds of years in this simulation doing
Yeah.
whatever you want. And all you have to do is like, you live in a mansion and you go into a basement, and you push a button, and then you can reprogram like, all right, now I don't want to be a millionaire on the beach golfing every day. Now I want to be a sports athlete. And then boop, it reloads, and now you're playing your favorite sport in the pros until you go back to the basement, hit the button again, and you could live thousands of lifetimes. And like that's bonkers. Like that is a self-elected. People are like, I want to get out of the simulation. I want to do it. It's like, dude, I think we're headed towards people being like, where do I sign up? How can I get in on this?
Oh, a totally percent. Especially if you don't, if you're at like a low moment in this life, there's definitely the opportunity to just be like, wait, you mean I can just like put my headset on and everything works? Because like there'll be a way to make money in there. There'll be ways to do things inside these alternate realities.
Right.
Like I remember, so did you ever play the game Second Life?
Yeah.
Okay. So Second Life was a sandbox game, which basically means you could do whatever you wanted inside of this game. And so people would create characters, and inside of the game, they had a currency that was a real world currency. And what happened essentially is people would get jobs working shops and stores inside that game and would make real world money doing that and selling real estate and so on and so forth, just doing it inside a virtual world. Second Life
Right.
did that. I think there was a big thing about in RuneScape. There was one point that the money in RuneScape was bigger than a South American country's economy. So they made more money playing RuneScape and selling the gold and stuff than they did just going to work every day, which is
Right.
wild.
Like you go into virtual reality, you do something for hours and hours and hours on end, and then it's like, yeah, you produced quantities or things, or even feeding the AI machine. Like you're just going to go in there and do stuff, and like we just need you to chop wood for an eternity, like 100 years, just to prove something for a computer system to be better in the real world. And people are like, yeah, cool. And they just go into this and then they can live. Like that to me is just beyond scary and bonkers. And I think, like you said, people will line up to just be like, yeah, put me in. I don't want to go live these crazy lives and be in there for an elective eternity.
By the way,
And
I looked it
that's
up. It's Venezuela.
okay.
So, if you lived in Venezuela, you could make more money playing RuneScape, which Nagy did after he broke his leg for a little bit,
Yeah.
than just going to be a bartender. That's wild.
Yeah. But I mean, because the other thing that AI is doing and learning, it was 2020, the University of Helsinki was connecting the human mind, and like you would like I'd be like, all right, Chris, I'm gonna map your brain, like I'm gonna put all these diodes or whatever on your head, and then they'd show you a picture of a horse in a field, and just by looking at the signals and responses in your brain, a computer was able to start mapping it out to like high accuracy of horses in a field. The one I saw was like a guy was looking at like a frog on a rock in a stream with like forestry and fauna like around it,
Interesting.
and the computer program saw like a frog, but it was more rocky, but still fauna, and then water around. Like they're mapping the brain already. That was 4 years ago, and these things are only getting bigger and better. Like you said, running these simulations over and over and over
Imagine
again.
what it's doing with Neuralink and how it's mapping the brain right now with the people that have
Right.
Neuralink attached. Bro.
Just bonkers things of mapping it out and doing it so that I think the coolest thing with that is I would totally elect to have that hooked up, because then you could see your dreams. And that to me, like I'm a very vivid dreamer. Like I don't know about you, I don't know if you've ever messed around with controlling your dreams and stuff like that. Um, Super cool process of controlling your dreams. So best example I had and I learned is you go in the mirror before bed and you look in the mirror and you look at yourself and you say, look at your hands. And then you look down at your hands and then you look back at the mirror and you look at yourself. You go, look at your hands. And you do that a couple times. And then in your dream, if you can ever just say, hey, look at your hands, You look at your hands, and you will start controlling your own dream. And
Interesting.
hang on, we're gonna take a TV timeout. It's called lucid dreaming, and they even have like goggles that you can put on. It'll like it senses, like you put on like a heart rate monitor, and then when you get into REM sleep, it flashes a little red light, and you learn to start looking for the red light, and then in your dream you can start controlling it. So the best example I ever had was I was in a dream and I was running around my college campus trying to get to point A to point B, and I was running down the streets. I was like, man, I just wish my bike was here. And I turned the street, and then my bike was just like laying on the ground. I was like, oh my god, my bike! That's amazing. And then I was like, wait a minute, my bike wouldn't be here. It's locked up in my apartment. Oh my gosh, I'm in a dream. And then I got on my bike and went to a place. And I was like, I don't want to go to that place. I want to climb a tree. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna close my eyes, count to three. When I open it up, it's gonna be a big tree. And I counted down, opened my eyes, and the tree was inside the building. And I was like, close enough. And then I went inside and then climbed around the tree for a long time, played around. But to get AI to get those things, and then in the morning, you're having your bowl of cereal and you're like, all right, play back my dreams. And if you don't, especially if you don't remember them, because like Jera never remembers her dreams. And if you start keeping a dream journal, you will actually start remembering your dreams more and more. Even if you write down like, I was on my desk at work. And then the more you start writing it down, the more you can actually start recalling your own dreams. But to have a program that you hook up at night and then in the morning you just hit like play and it shows you your dreams, I think that would be so awesome.
That would be super awesome. I don't know. I'm so fascinated by this lucid dreaming that you're talking about because I don't really dream that often. I don't.
Really?
Mm-mm. I'd say maybe once every 2 or 3 months at best.
Whoa.
I don't have dreams that often.
Super simple life hack is have apple juice before you sleep. Like have a glass of apple juice before you go to bed.
Bro, I drink those Marinelli's apple juice things.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Drink 2 or 3 of those a day. So you're just
But
telling me to drink them before bed now?
yeah, so that one's proven to have more vivid dreams.
Why is
The
that?
other thing, I had something with chemical reactions in there.
Oh my gosh, you can't tee me up like this. Go ahead. Start it.
So
Continue.
the apple juice is a good one for a quick life hack. Avoiding alcohol so that you can get into REM sleep. But as simple as just putting, not your phone, putting a pen and paper down next to your bed and just waking up and writing down any detail you can remember. Because like for the past 3 days, I've had these crazy vivid dreams, and I'm like, I should write that down. Like, no, that was so vivid. I'm thinking about it in the morning. I'll remember it by after my cup of coffee when I'm moving to get to work. It's gone, and I'm like, damn it. All right, should have had that one. So just writing down anything gets more and more of your brain starting to try to recall those things. To start trying to do lucid dreaming, like I said, there's the hand technique. Um, trying to find your phone in dreams because everybody's like, we're in a simulation because I can never find my phone. Like my phone doesn't exist. And it's like, all right, well, if you think about like, oh, my phone's in my right pocket, and just by making a conscious choice and going, where's my phone? And you reach for it and you go, and then you look at it and it's just hieroglyphics. You're like, that's not my phone. Oh my goodness, I'm in a dream. And then you can start trying to control it. And a lot of times in the beginning, you just wake yourself up. But there's other times where I was able to start flying and doing other stuff. Flying is also a trait of being free from like being very at ease in life. So if you have flying dreams, you are separating yourself from reality in your dreams. Very cool little point. But I mean, I can go on for days about dreams.
Okay, so the on the line is telling us that apples increase the acetylcholine in the brain. And the reason that acetylcholine makes you dream is because neurocortical activation in REM sleep is sustained mainly by acetylcholine. This creates a state of arousal without any simultaneous input from other neurostimulants. So basically, you have a storage of acetylcholine that makes you dream longer. So basically, I probably have no acetylcholine, and that may be why I'm not dreaming, and that's why I had one the other day because I had apple juice. I'm gonna keep working
There
on
you
this.
go.
I'm gonna have more apple juice so that I can dream more.
But it's also the use of stimulants and things like that. Like people that drink a ton of coffee through the day. Like I dislike people that are like, I need my cup of coffee in the morning. Like, bro, just start going.
I
Like
drink
if
about
you're
150 milligrams of caffeine throughout the day, generally in
it
the
depends
morning.
on my day. But most weekends I'm not even consuming caffeine because I'm like, I don't need it. I don't need to be spunked up. I'm going with life right now. Even with
Wow,
a mini.
you're born caffeinated.
Yeah, I think I mean that is one of the blessings of hyperactivity of just I suck at going to sleep, but if I do get to sleep, I can usually dream, and then when I wake up, it's like go time. Like I would skip breakfast and caffeine and just sleep in as long as possible to then go to the flow rider. And the second you show up, is like, all right, go time, dude. Let's do this.
That's true. You always had energy no matter what the moment was. You could pull
Correct.
it out of a special place.
I mean, but that's just also an extroverted personality where the more I get to talk to people, the more amped I am. Like if it's a 7 a.m. lesson, I get there and everybody's like, "Yeah, I guess we're here." You're like, "You guys are flipping killing me. You paid a lot of money to learn to surf and wake up. You go get some coffee.
That's
Go
where
get some
you and I are
espresso."
completely different. I'm an introvert trapped in an extrovert's body. I want to be left alone, but I can talk to anybody about anything.
I mean, yeah, that's a bummer. I'm one of
I
those people.
don't know if it's a bummer. It's just how I'm built.
Yeah,
It may
but like
be a
I'm one of those
bummer
people.
for you because you like talking to people and need people around you all the time.
The amount of times I've wandered off in social situations to go talk to strangers because I'm like, you guys are boring. I'm gonna go see what other people can stimulate me like. Like, oh, that guy was super weird, or this guy's super chill. I'm gonna talk to him for a while.
Oh, see, I'm completely different. I'm like, I stayed at the party for a half hour. Woo! That's a big win. I'm leaving. See you later. King of the Irish exit. So, if you want to learn how to do an Irish exit well, first trick to it is you have to show up in a picture early. And it can't be a picture with like your significant other. It's got to be a picture of like me and Nagy,
Group,
which apparently doesn't exist other than the one that you guys saw on Instagram.
yeah,
um or me and X, Y, and Z to prove that you are at the party, right? That picture proves it. Then you got to do something crazy. Handstand, backflip, whatever, make an impression, make sure everybody laughs. And then, whilst in the height of that, you just say, hey man, I'm going to go get a drink. You're gone. Nobody's looking for you ever again.
mm. Which is insanely different than the Midwest goodbye, which I've been struggling with so much here of trying to say bye and people like, okay, we got to get going, and then they put on their shoes and they talk for a long time, and then they're standing in the doorway and they're still talking, and then you're like holding the door open for them and they're still talking.
No.
And the worst was Atlas was having like a freak out because he doesn't like being in his car seat. So we're like, okay, we're gonna go put him in his car seat, put him in the car, and we're talking and talking, and they like walked us out, and we're talking and talking. Jared just like reached over and shut my driver's side door and started the car. It was like, go. Like I was like, Mike was in the middle of the sentence. She's like, doesn't matter. We have to go. Like Atlas is losing his stuff. Start
All
driving.
right, I got another question. Just since we're at it at this point, and I'll edit it back in. Are you worried about AI and Atlas as he's getting older, like, and how it's going to play a role in him, and how he's pretty much raised in the world, right? Like, it's going to be unavoidable at schools and bus stops, and just you can't be Amish forever, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where technology is advancing where it's this is where it borderlines on is it social media or is it AI? And how much are those things hand in hand? And to me, those things are such a symbiotic relationship and are only going to be bigger and bigger. Where, most of the stuff I listen to is preteens and middle teens should not have technology to a certain extent. Like I'm super okay with getting him a flip phone and being like, you can text, you can call, we can know your location. You can call emergencies. We have one friend in Florida that she's super on board with like getting their kids like smartwatches
Mm-hmm.
because you can't scroll through social media and stuff like that. So I think keeping him off those as long as possible. And literally, like my favorite thing was when I got home, if I wanted to play video games, I had to fire up my N64, I had to fire up my Xbox on a TV. I couldn't carry it to the bathroom. I couldn't carry it on the car. I couldn't do all the thing. Like the saddest thing to me is seeing a kid with an iPad blasting in his face when they're walking through the grocery store. It's like, yo, man, that's kind of its own adventure. I love doing that kind of stuff. Engage your small
Oh,
human.
dude. We used to, when we were little in the grocery store, me and my brother, I would get on the lower level of the cart and lay on my belly, and we would pretend it was a pod racer, and he would sit on
Yeah,
the front of it. Like, that is just a part of growing up, man. And so whenever we would shoot around corners, I would make the sound as my mom turned around the corner. My little brother would be like, "We're hanging on! We're hanging on!" And, oh,
yeah.
man, that's the part of growing up.
So it's like you need those things, and it's like I understand when you are on a long flight or a long car ride. Like, yeah, here, put on a movie. By the time it's over, we're there. But like I said, like a car ride, or I saw kids at the zoo or at SeaWorld or in Universal Studios, and they're looking at their iPad. You're like, hey, man, you're in Harry Potter World. Put that crap down and engage. Like that kind of stuff.
Shampoo's
So
about to
it
do a
is.
backflip.
Sorry.
Shampoo's about to do a backflip.
Exactly. Like engage in the world around you. But there is that thing of like, oh, all my friends have it. Like, all right, cool. They can call 911 when you need it, or getting on it. But yeah, that's the scariest thing for social media. So I don't know how much it relates to AI, but it's there, it's prevalent, it's only getting bigger. But yeah, it's kind of one of those things where I have to see. He's 1.5 right now, so I have to see what happens in the next 15 years when he's actually going through all this crap. So take it with a grain of salt.
All right. So, what do you want to send the people home with?
I mean, the world is greatly changing, and AI is going to be a bigger and bigger part of our world. There can be the fear of going into the matrix and things like that, but there's also the beauty of it creating these opportunities for us to start really exploring the human mind and getting into levels that we don't even know about yet. And each year, and the more they release this stuff, it's just going to get more and more bonza. So take it with a grain of salt, embrace it, but don't give up too much of your information to Big Brother out there. Otherwise,
And
we're just screaming into the void, baby.
and to all of our followers and listeners so far, thank you. We appreciate you guys. Click
Love you
that like
lots.
button, and we'll see you next week.
Out.